Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm going to take you through a presentation on an e-business called tforlife.co.uk and its practices. I'm a little pressed for time, so I'm going to try and be as efficient as possible. In the introduction, I'm going to discuss three things: what T4Life is, its business model, and its strategic position. T4Life is an e-business founded by Sam Corti in 2008 that promotes a healthy lifestyle by selling green tea. It sources tea from abroad and delivers its blend on a global scale. The firm revolves around a focused strategy based on Porter's three generic strategy. The theory states that a firm's competitive scope must target a narrow market with a high-cost product for it to be the high-cost provider of the product. T4Life does this by buying high-quality tea, creating unique blends, and offering it online to international customers at a margin. Porter's 5 forces model of competitive positioning states that there are 5 forces that shape competitive strategy. 1. Bargaining power of consumers. High prices and lack of monopolistic power gives T4Life's consumers a high bargaining power. 2. Bargaining power of suppliers. Again, high prices and imported ingredients mean suppliers have a great influence over the company too. 3. Threats of substitute products. There are nearly infinite substitute tea products in the industry. 4. Threat of new entrants. As an e-business, there are little costs and technological know-how, and so few barriers to entry. 5. Internal jockeying for positioning in the industry. Some costs are astoundingly low, making inter-industry competition a threat for T4Life. In terms of this model, the firm is in an unfavorable strategic position. Next, I will discuss the strategic value of IT to the company. Being a business and offering international shipping, T4Life's information reach is far greater than any physical stores would be, and so allowing customers to order from the website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from around the globe. Ordering tea from the website takes no time at all, and the streamlined process helps build customer loyalty, increasing overall sales and decreasing the likelihood of substitution. Having international warehouses would have been very costly and possibly the most significant source of capital expenditure for T4Life. The firm avoids these costs and several other risks by being an e-business. Finally, being an e-business minimizes the risks of no stock. Obviously, physical locations can restrict the amount of stock that can be held on site, and so T4Life is able to offer their entire stock for sale, increasing revenue. Next, I'm going to discuss the entity relationship, ER, diagram. ER diagram's main purpose is to represent the firm's data in a clear manner. It is done through the use of 3 elements: entities, the main fields the organization wishes to hold the data; attributes, the data we want to collect for an entity; relationships, how data is shared between the entities. There are 3 types of relationships: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. These are self-explanatory relationships that can also be mandatory or optional, which help the diagram become more specific. Here's an example of a one-to-many relationship. In this case, customers can have many account infos, however, account info can only belong to one customer. In addition, the relationship both ways is mandatory. Here's an example of a bridging entity. Bridging entities separate many-to-many relationships, creating a one-to-many and many-to-one relationship instead. They help simplify the diagram and the database. Here is the final proposed ER diagram for tforlife.co.uk. As you can see, it includes entities, attributes, and relationships. Next, I'm going to discuss the database and SQL queries. The database is a collection of data that is organized in such a way that it allows specific transactions and requests to be made using the data. Structured Query Language, SQL, or SQL, on the other hand, is a computer language for working with sets of data and the relationships between them. T4Life's database takes the form of a relational database. Information is collected, stored, and organized into tables. In order to create information out of the data, relationships between tables are created using primary and foreign keys. The benefits of these relationships are abundant. data becomes far more comprehensible and data manipulation is easily achieved. To form an SQL query, specific clauses must be used. These are select, which lists the fields that contains the data of interest, from, which lists the tables that contain the fields and the select clause, and where, which specifies which parts of the data are to be displayed in the results. For example, the query shown would give rise to the following web page. Here's the proposed database for t4life.co.uk. It contains tables, primary keys, foreign keys, and relationships. And finally, we're going to suggest a few interface improvements. What first grabs and maintains the attention of e-commerce consumers is the face of a website, and so it is crucial that T4Life's website creates a grand impression. The basic 4 marketing principles for designing a website interface as described by Michael Silverman are simplicity, consistency, similarity, and visual focus. Our recommendations will be based on these. Some presentational layout suggestions include the toolbar having fewer categories and therefore becoming less cluttered, and paragraphs in the description sections of the product could be evenly spaced out to ease the search for relevant information. Some functional layout suggestions would include limiting the number of products that can be ordered through a stop sale strategy, a feedback or comment section for customers to help managers decide what route the firm should take next and relevant stock decisions, more options for payments such as a credit or debit card instead of merely PayPal, and finally, more options for shipping, which includes listing the delivery days. In conclusion, Tea4Life is an e-business that imports tea from foreign countries, and after creating its unique blends, offer their product online to its international yet narrow market. Despite being in a strategically unfavorable position in the industry, Tea4Life makes great use of IT to make up for that. Finally, the company uses a relational database as well as ER diagrams and SQL queries to ensure that it runs smoothly on a day-to-day basis and that its customers are fully satisfied. This brings us to the end of the presentation. I'm Alex Varsakis, and I've been representing Group 17 for the MIS Group project. Group 17 also consists of Katie Lau, Ira Paddy, and Melina Podara. I hope you enjoyed the show.